get a job to pay for it. And that one time,
he insisted on taking us to the movies, even though he knew Stephen totally worked there and I was totally in love with him. And
the time I got this wicked cool scorpion tattoo on my shoulder, not even the whole arm, just the shoulder, and he grounded me for 2 weeks. 2 weeks. And oh yeah.
When I wanted to major in ceramics because I'm way good at it, my dad told me I'd have to pay my own tuition. Duh. How am I supposed to earn that kind of dough making pottery?
Embarrass them, horrify them, freak them out. Don't worry. They'll appreciate it. Eventually. A message from the National Fatherhood Initiative and the Ad Council. Have you been a dad today? For more information, visit fatherhood.org.
This is Detroit's Progressive Talk, 1310 WDTW, Dearborn, Detroit. Listen 24 hours a day on iHeartRadio. The comments, ideas, and opinions expressed in the following program are those of the show participants only. Nothing stated in this program reflects the ideas, opinions, or beliefs of this radio station and or Clear Channel Radio.
Stay tuned for the Medical Marijuana Radio Show, brought to you by the American Medical Marijuana Professionals on Gratiot and Roseville. For certifications, call 1-877-RX-42099. Medical Marijuana Certification. And now you can find out everything you need to know online at getpotid.com. Or write down this toll-free number, 855-DOC-CERT. A friendly specialist will direct you to our Farmington Hills office. Medical Marijuana Certification. GetPotID.com. It's the key to getting your card. Information, resources, and in the end, if you're qualified, a medical card. Call toll-free right now, 855-DOC-CERT. That's 855-DOC-CERT. It's GetPotID.com. The law offices of Targowski and Grow remind you to stand up for your rights. Always treat law enforcement with respect, but if you're detained or arrested, stand up for your rights by repeating, I respectfully invoke all of my legal and constitutional rights. I do not consent to any search or seizure. I want to remain silent, and I want to talk to my attorneys, John Targowski and Daniel Grow. Targowski and Grow have the education and experience you need to be successful in Michigan courts. Call Targowski and Grow toll-free, 800-957-1069. The law offices of Targowski and Grow, 800-957-1069. Hey, Steve Green here to tell you about my good friends over at the Hydro Hut Garden Supply Store in Inkster. Why am I so excited about Hydro Hut? The $200 Mad Light deal. That's right. $200 gets you a 1,000-watt high-pressure sodium bulb, an E-wing reflector, and a digital ballast. That's right, a digital one. Call them today at 313-228-5544. It's Hydro Hut. It's 20% off on your first purchase, but you got to mention the Medical Marijuana Radio Show to get it. Check them out at hydrohutonline.com. That's Hydro Hut at hydrohutonline.com.
Well, this formula is specifically to grow cannabis.
That's Ray Kogo for Kogo's Original Cannabis Formula Nutrients.
Now, everybody knows that large buds and tight buds come from genetics, and then the amount of light you use. The other part is having the correct nutrients that the plant's going to use. Mine specifically to grow cannabis, so it's going to get everything that it needs.
Ray knows what you may not. Those nutrient companies you can get in most grow shops are not cannabis specific. That means they take the stuff out of the bloom that your plant needs in bloom. You can get Kogo's Original Cannabis Formula Nutrients too. It's just 2 1-gallon jugs that make over 600 gallons of nutrients, all for less than $100. See the difference for yourself.
More trichomes, bigger buds, faster growth, and for less money.
Go to CANNABISformula.com or call Ray Direct at 517-375-8998. That's 517-375-8998. Kogo's Original Cannabis Formula Nutrients. Hey, Steve Green here for the Medical Marijuana Certifications at AMMP. They're the American Medical Marijuana Professionals. You'll find them just north of Utica Road on Gratiot in Roseville. Their address is 28349. Now, call-ins are welcome, but you're better off calling for an appointment. They have a toll-free number, 877-RX-42099. That's 877-RX-42099 for American Medical Marijuana Professionals. That's AMMP on Gratiot in Roseville.
All right, we're going to turn now to the crackdown on K2. It's about to get even harder for drug users to find the synthetic pot in Metro Detroit. Tomorrow, Wayne and Washtenaw counties will take action against K2, spice, and other synthetic drugs. There's already a ban in place in Macomb County, and Oakland County is cracking down on stores that sell the drug. Meantime, another Oakland County community will take up a measure banning K2. Waterford Township on Monday will introduce an ordinance prohibiting the sale of synthetic drugs. And in Clarkston, it was concerned parents today cracking down on K2. They went to stores throughout the area asking owners to pledge not to sell synthetic drugs. We want you to stay with 7 Action News and WXYZ.com for the very latest developments in the push to ban K2.
Countdown to launch. It's the medical marijuana.
Launch commit.
Radio show.
Guidance is internal. Ignition sequence start. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Liftoff. We have a liftoff. Power clear.
Medical Marijuana Radio Show is a production of the Medical Marijuana Radio Network.
You tuned in to that Medical Marijuana Show. 855-MMM Radio. Keep it legal, keep it legal, keep it legal, keep it legal. Hey. You tuned in to that Medical Marijuana Show. 855-MMM Radio.
Hey, it's the Medical Marijuana Radio Show for June 9th. We're live in Detroit.
It's the host with the co-host Denise. Starting at noon Saturdays every week. Yes, we keeping you legal. Legislators and lawyers, doctors and the growers. The show is for the people. Michigan Medical Marijuana, no hassle. We talk about anything, any issue you can handle. Call us up and let us know what is on your mind. And make sure when you do it legal every time.
Hey! We're back. It is another week in the field of medical marijuana. I'm patient and caregiver Steve Green. Welcome to the show. To my side, make some noise, guys. It's Rick Thompson and Denise Policello.
Woohoo! Turn on our mics and we'll make noise, we promise.
Hey, wait, don't make no noise.
I don't listen to women yelling. I tell them to shut up.
Nice bite.
Yeah, did you hear that? That guy on Channel 7, did you see him with the trees? Oh, God. Here's what he says about girls.
I don't take no orders from no woman.
Who is that?
This guy's the guy on, he's a tree guy.
He's
He's in Warren somewhere, and he was on Channel 7. Boy, he really blasted that lady chick from, the reporter from Channel 7. Boy,
You don't take orders from no women?
Yeah, check him out. He says...
I don't listen to women yelling. I tell them to shut up.
You sure he ain't from Livingston County? Because...
That's not a formula for a good marriage, I'll tell you that.
You know, I don't get away with talking to girls like that. You know, what he was is he was out there. He's got a tree truck with a flatbed, and he's got logs on the back of it, and he's spotted in the city of Detroit tossing logs off into the road, literally right in the middle of a nice street there, right in the middle of the road, just throwing them in the road, and somebody's yelling at him saying, "Hey, stop that! What are you doing? You can't do that!" And the guy's like ignored him, and then got in the truck and drove away. And so this Good Samaritan, whoever was in the neighborhood, probably a neighbor, followed him and got his plate number, reported it to the police. Probably figured out that the police weren't going to do anything about this dumping. They got bigger fish to fry amongst them, the medical marijuana guys. Anyways, they ended up, Channel 7 went out there. They called Channel 7 instead. And so they sent this
like their investigative reporter section or whatever.
They found her, no, it wasn't their investigative reporter. It was just a regular reporter. Yeah. But they sent her out there, and she finds the guy. They tracked his plate number down. He's in Warren. And so she goes and gets behind his truck and finds him in the driveway there. And the cameraman comes running up there, and she's like, "Hey, you know, we saw you were reported as dumping this wood in the middle of the city of Detroit streets. Don't you think you should go clean it up?" He's like, "Oh, yeah." He's like, "I'm not Mr. Clean. I'm Mr. Clean Up," he says. And then he goes on to tell her, he's a crazy guy. He goes on to tell her that, she said, somebody was trying to tell you to stop doing that. And he goes, it was probably a woman.
I don't listen to women yelling. I tell them to shut up.
That's what he told her. And then when she says, "Look, I just want to ask you," and she goes, "You don't have to ask me."
I don't take no orders from no woman.
That's what he said. So I just thought it was kind of funny.
I swear to God, if I was the city of Detroit, I'd send like 3 women cops over there. You know what out of them.
Ella Bullock Cummings should be one of them because she can whoop some butt.
I love that attitude.
I can't talk to chicks like that. My mom would have whooped me around the room.
Well, it's just, you know what? Look, it's ignorant, and it's silly for people to think in this day and age that they're not going to get caught on camera doing something ridiculous and illegal. By the way, that's illegal. So.
I figured I'd try, so I had this argument with Siri earlier.
I don't listen to women yelling. I tell them to shut up.
I'm just trying to help.
I don't listen to women yelling. I tell them to shut up.
That's not very nice.
I don't take no orders from no woman.
Okay, you don't then.
I don't take no orders from no woman.
I thought not.
I'm serious. I don't take no orders from no woman.
Did I say you did?
Shut up, Siri.
Did I deserve that?
I'll take you around the back corner.
Okay. Does that mean you're going to smoke a joint with me?
Don't be smart with me, Siri.
Don't be dumb with me.
I told you I couldn't. Stupid Siri. Told you I can't get away with talking to chicks like that.
Oh, my goodness.
Well, when even the computers start smacking you around, Steve, you need a new job.
So, anyways, on today's show, we're going to talk about the calendar of upcoming events. We've got some stuff going on, the live remotes. We'll tell you where we're going to be all summer long. We've also got the contest coming up at the end of the show. If you want to register, we've got a great place for you to do that. If you go the front page of RadioWeekShow.com, there's a new place where you can sign in with Google or Facebook. If you sign in, it'll prompt you to put your phone number in there so we can call you to play the contest. We're going to play Tilker Trivia at the end of the show. Hopefully, we were going to have Adam from Hydro Hut in here. I don't know if he's going to make it down here or not, but in the event that he's not, I was thinking about maybe trying to give away a prize from Hydro Hut. But if
it
we
is
don't,
official construction day. You do realize that.
yes, I know. We're going to give away some Cedar Point tickets because we're going to go on July 14th. We got a group rate.
Bastille Day.
Yes.
Awesome.
It's going to be awesome. July 14th, $35 is our group rate. It's $51 if you go down there and pay it if you walk through the gate.
Nice discount.
Yeah, and so we'll go down there as a group and we'll do the show live from there.
Is that a Saturday?
It's on a Saturday.
Fantastic.
Saturday at Cedar Point in Michigan, or in the summertime? Yeah.
Have a chance to get some tickets to go to the show. Also on today's show, Rep. Carlton. Rep. Carlton, the principal sponsor behind 5580, which is a dispensary bill, and also the co-sponsor of 5681, which is another dispensary bill, two very different bills. Hopefully we'll be able to pick that apart and figure out what that means.
Didn't Jamie call 5560, what's the other one?
5681.
5681. He called it a turd last week.
He did call it a turd.
Cute. I agree. I agree. It's certainly the more evil of two evils, definitely.
Well, you know, there's a lot of stuff to talk about that bill.
Yeah.
We've got a couple of minutes, but, Rep. Carlton on the program immediately following the first break, we'll take him in. What do you think about 5681? Have you read the...
Obviously it's a grab by some. It appears to be a subversive type little measure by some. It seems to be backdealing. Let me put it that way. It seems to be a way to get an end run around, the will of the people and to privatize dispensaries or perhaps the marijuana industry in the hands of a very few people who aren't even, the way I understand it, from Michigan. So
we had Carlton on the Planet Green Trees radio program, and he was very explanatory about how this evolved, and it is not a pleasant story. I hope he'll be able to share that with us again today, too.
Now, the Planet Green Trees radio show is on planetgreentrees.com. It's Blog Talk Radio. It's Michael Comorn and crew. There's a huge crew behind him.
Every Thursday at 8 p.m., exactly right.
Jamie Lowell amongst them, yourself amongst them, Mike McShane, Red Dog, the whole bunch of guys.
Christian Offerman, Gersh Avery, Chad Carr, you bet.
Yep, and so that program airs on Thursday. It happened to be the same day that this announcement came forth that this bill was introduced. And so he came on kind of like right out of the gate on the show trying to talk about this. And I think, having him on today's show as a follow-up to that, there's been some space and some time between now and then. I think things might have had a chance to change. So we'll see if...
He talked about some action he was going to take in regards to these bills. I'm curious to see what the update is on that.
Well, and I think I talked to Bill Lader, who's been doing a fantastic job covering this issue in the Detroit Free Press. And he had mentioned that he had a discussion with him and was interested in publishing an article. He was going to talk about it being on the show today. I don't know if he ever did it. I looked it up. I didn't see the article ever made it. I think there's been a lot of stuff happening, and the medical marijuana issue has been pushed aside by the major news people.
They're concentrating a lot on the K2 thing right now, which,
You heard that coming right out of the gate. We had the K2 thing, at the front of the show here, Channel 7 talking about that. When it wasn't just
they're
Channel
calling
7.
it synthetic pot. I don't understand. It doesn't really have anything to do with marijuana.
It's not synthetic pot.
It's a very poor substitute and very dangerous
It's a synthetic
substitute.
drug, but it's...
Yeah.
I made a quote in the newspaper just this last week where I called it a construct of the media machine. You can't equate marijuana with K2. You can't.
No.
It's completely different. It's dangerous on every edge.
Although, frankly, it strengthens the medical marijuana argument somewhat.
It does. They keep making that stuff worse. The stuff that they keep putting back out, they make it illegal. They change a molecule on it. It's more harsh.
And kids will always get high off of something. So
More to come. Rep. Carlton next on the Medical Marijuana Radio Show. Please don't go away.
Got something to say?
Call now toll free, 855-MMM Radio.
If you are a carded Michigan medical marijuana patient with a need for safe access but have reservations about privacy and discretion, there is an answer. It's the Ant Farm. The Ant Farm is Metro Detroit's trusted professional mobile transfer service. Write this toll-free number down, 888-369-3320. Lab-tested, mold and pesticide-free. It's the Ant Farm's convenient you'll try, but quality standards, privacy, and friendly professionals that will bring you back. The Ant Farm comes to you. Call for discreet details right away. 888-369-3320.
If you or someone you know received a traffic ticket, has been charged with a misdemeanor, drinking and driving, criminal offense, or has had their driver's license taken away, they need an attorney. They need attorney Glenn McCandless. He's helped hundreds of people solve their legal problems over the past 16 years.
My law firm is dedicated to providing quality legal services at affordable rates.
Call us at 586-755-2900. Again, that's 586-755-2900. Call now.
The Committee for a Safer Michigan is collecting signatures to put repeal of marijuana prohibition for adults on the November ballot, and we need your help. Outlawing marijuana has not reduced its availability, made society safe, nor reduced access for minors. Marijuana prohibition has wasted limited tax dollars, put otherwise law-abiding citizens in handcuffs, eroded the public's relationship with law enforcement, and denied relief to seriously ill, injured, and dying citizens that were supposed to be protected by the Michigan Medical Marijuana Act. The Committee for a Safer Michigan is working to legalize marijuana for adults, and we need your help to put it on the ballot. Go to repealtoday.org to find out more about this historic effort. That's repealtoday.org to learn more, or call 269-548-8422 to end prohibition and sign the petition. Ending marijuana prohibition will reduce access by minors, allow law enforcement to focus on violent crime, reduce gang activity and organized crime, and create jobs by allowing a new Michigan hemp industry. Paid for with regulated funds by the Committee for a Safer Michigan, 2930 East Jefferson Avenue, Detroit, Michigan, 48207. The law offices of Targowski and Grow remind you to stand up for your rights. Always treat law enforcement with respect, but if you're detained or arrested, stand up for your rights by repeating, I respectfully invoke all of my legal and constitutional rights. I do not consent to any search or seizure. I want to remain silent, and I want to talk to my attorneys, John Targowski and Daniel Grow. Targowski and Grow have the education and experience you need to be successful in Michigan courts. Call Targowski and Grow toll-free, 800-957-1069. The law offices of Targowski and Grow, 800-957-1069. Attention! Find out how to claim your free offer from Urban Genetics at the end of this message. Start growing right. Know your strain. Get the right seeds and clones at affordable prices from the leader in genetics in Michigan. And it's Urban Genetics. Urban Genetics carries it all. Sativas, indicas, hybrids, autoflower, even rare high CBD strains or hard-to-find strains. Call now and get your free seeds by mentioning this radio ad. Some restrictions apply. Urban Genetics, 248-266-0980. Call Urban Genetics now for this one-time limited free offer. 248-266-0980.
Radio show.
Hey baby, won't you look my way? I can be your new addiction. Hey baby, what you gotta say? All you're giving me is fiction. I'm a sorry sucker and this happens all the time.
Welcome back to the Medical Marijuana Radio Show, about 17 minutes after 12. You know, this is... You know, I thought this was going to be the piece that we were going to play the girls thing out of. We were in the other room trying to get me to play the stupid. We'll talk about that next break.
It wasn't the Foo Fighters, I'll tell you that.
No,
I forgive you.
So it's like I said, about 17 minutes after 12 o'clock. We want to bring a very important guest on the show, Rep. Mike Calton. Welcome to the Medical Marijuana Radio Show, Mr. Calton. There we go.
Good to be here.
Now, Rep. Calton, I just wanted to, I guess, give you an opportunity to kind of maybe draw a distinction between the two bills. Your co-sponsor of 5681 and sponsor of 5580. Kind of a difference between those two bills. It seems unusual we would have a sponsor and a co-sponsor on two very different bills. The same person.
Yeah, they're different, all right. I agree with that.
Can you kind of tell us what the difference between the two are?
Well, basically, the first one, trying to establish in the law dispensaries for medical marijuana. I'm calling them provisionary centers, because when they passed the Michigan, the Medical Marijuana Act, it established that you can grow your own with a prescription or have a caregiver, but there really was nothing to establish dispensaries, which is why dispensaries have been having such a hard time.
Right.
So I personally think that the dispensary really needs to be there to make how people get medical marijuana work better. It deals with issues like overage, caregivers, what happens with overage. Basically, these provisionary centers could buy up the overage and then sell to patients. So then it establishes, some guidelines so that the provisionary centers are high quality. And that's pretty much what that bill does. And I really like that bill. And now I was asked to co-sign on the second bill. Can you give me that? I can't offhand think of the number again.
5681, sir.
Yeah. This is Representative LeBlanc's bill. And I initially was drawn to it because there was a lot of discussion about testing. And I like testing. And there was discussion about a day that may come when marijuana is taken off Schedule 1. And that was exciting to think about because this bill won't even apply unless that happened. It's kind of a proactive bill. And then it also dealt with issues of standardization, and I like concepts of having standardized products should be available. Although I do like diversity of products, but it would be nice if, let's say, you were in Detroit, and, let's say if I bought a cheeseburger at McDonald's in Detroit, it would be the exact same thing as if I bought a cheeseburger up in Ishpeming.
Or in Dallas.
Yeah, or in Dallas.
It's about continuity is what you're saying. You get the same thing wherever you go.
Standardization. Now, I do think, we need to have also some diversity of products because I know there's different kinds of strains of marijuana and different ones may be right for different people and their conditions. So those were the things that attracted me to it, and the bill was kind of lengthy, and it was written in legalese, and I have to admit that I did not read it completely or understand it completely because I was basically lured by these concepts.
Well, they are good concepts. I'm not going to deny that.
Yeah, but then as you read into it, the bill really brings something into it a lot more than that I think we have to have a lot of discussion about. I will say this right now. Unless this bill is changed a lot, I will not vote for it.
For 5681 you're talking about?
Pardon me?
For 5681 you're saying?
Yes.
Okay.
Because on one hand, in my first bill, I'm trying to create dispensaries, but some people pointed out to me that the second bill actually could eliminate dispensaries. So
it could.
So on one hand, I have one hand fighting the other. That needs to be straightened out for me to vote for it.
Can I make a suggestion, just as a personal suggestion? Is there any way we could marry some of the good concepts from the second bill, 5681, to some of the awesome concepts that you created in 5580? For example, the rescheduling. For example, there are some of these things that we could address so that, it makes it better.
Yeah, that's a good idea. That's why it's great that a lot of people give input on things, because I got a lot of input on my dispensaries bill, and I think it's a good bill.
I think it's a good bill, too.
That's the provisioning
now,
after
on the second bill...
now, the second bill refers to those centers, the same type of centers as pharmaceutical grade... what is it? There's some other name they have. Pharmaceutical grade...
They're calling it pharmaceutical grade medical marijuana.
No, they're not. I think they don't even leave the words medical marijuana are out of that bill. The entire bill is absent those words, except for when they reference the Medical Marijuana Act. They specifically refer to it as pharmaceutical grade cannabis.
Oh, I never really noticed that. Well, and I'm sure it's for a reason. There's a lot of legalese in it. It's almost like you need to have a lawyer sit down with you to completely understand it.
It is full of legalese. I noticed that, being the lawyer sitting here. But I thought my concern about 5681 is that it would simply wipe out the medical marijuana industry in Michigan as a private, as a statewide function and simply privatize it or put it into the hands of the pharmaceutical industry. I've got a little bit of a concern about that, not only from a point of view of quality, but also I think there's an enormous potential for the medical marijuana industry in Michigan to be a Michigan-based, Michigan-functioning, Michigan-serving industry, and to do quite a bit for our economy if we do this the right way.
And Rick Halton, you were on the Planet Green Trees radio program the other day, and you mentioned a big Canadian connection with 5681. Could you explain a little bit about how that originated and where that stands now?
Basically, in Canada, there's a company, I can't remember the full name of the company, but...
Prairie Plant Systems, I think.
Yeah, I know the first word is Prairie. And I know that they are a provider of marijuana to the country of Canada. And they have an interesting style where they have a mine, an old mine in Manitoba. And they like this kind of underground isolation. It isolates it from the strains, possibly cross-pollinating, and also insects and such. Maybe security issues, but they provide to the country of Canada. And I think they're definitely, big companies like that are looking at what's happening in Michigan. And right now we have a very grassroots kind of organization where you have people growing their own and you have caregivers. And someone told me that they think that there may be like 75,000 people growing in Michigan when you combine people growing their own and caregivers.
Wow.
That's a lot of diversity and a lot of different people involved. Now, so for the sake of this conversation, and that's so too, I called that little marijuana. Then there's big marijuana.
Right.
And big marijuana is a company like that that basically grows in large quantities. And they can't really do that here now because in the United States, marijuana is on Schedule 1. And I think everyone's concerned that if you have over 100 plants, that could bring the feds into it.
Indeed, it could.
Yeah, so they would not enter into this state as long as it's illegal federally.
Can I interject something there real quick? And I think Denise has got something that she wants. Nothing to say.
Go ahead. I'm just listening.
Was just going to say that in states where they have these large grows, for example, in Colorado, for example, in Virginia, these guys have left. The feds have left those guys alone. The state grows. They've completely kind of said, okay, well, the state's doing it. They haven't raided the state-run operations whatsoever. They left those guys alone.
That's interesting.
So far. But, I also think that in states where the state is very defensive of its citizenry, the federal government is not being very active as well.
You mean where we've got an attorney general with a backbone?
Yeah.
Really?
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, my concern is that in the state of Michigan, the number one jobs creator is small businesses, and to take something out of the hands of small businesses that operate in all 82 counties simultaneously and then put that in the hands of a couple of gigantic corporations where all of the economic benefits are going to be confined to one or two counties really takes away from the beauty and the advantage that medical marijuana is given to the state of Michigan.
Well, that's a concern of mine. Because like right now, if you have 75,000 growers that are, mom and pop type organizations, it'd be just like just think of these big box stores, like say Myers or Target.
Or God forbid Walmart.
Mom and pop stores that big box store took the place of.
Yeah, exactly. I think we've been saying that here on the show from day one, is that our bigger fear than having it Schedule 1 is having it Schedule 2, because that's when Big Pharmacy comes in and takes over, and then you're going to have to drive through Walmart to pick up your crappy marijuana prescription that has no real diversity behind it. I would prefer, if it's going to be at all possible, to keep marijuana strains diverse, quality controlled, absolutely regulated, inspected, licensed, taxed.
Testing is a good thing. Testing is important.
Quality controlled, absolutely no question, but diverse. So because if you have a lot of different people growing these different strains, then you'll get a better quality medication.
they probably end up coming from China or something like that, just like everything else they make.
Yeah. And I think we're all on the same page when we want to keep industry in Michigan.
Well, and who knows what the Chinese can't get the paint on toys right. Who knows what they're putting in your medicine?
Lead paint.
Yeah. Well.
Oh, exactly. Well, and here's a concern I have is, okay, right now we have, say, 75,000 different growers, and that creates competition, and competition's good. I consider myself conservative. We like competition. We like free market. And, well, you know, if a big company wants to come in and mix it up with our smaller growers, you know, okay, you know, we can't stop you. That's free market. But I think a concern I have with the bill is that it legislates market share.
Amen.
And
you're absolutely
I don't know
right.
if I like that.
Nope, I don't like it.
Yep. No, you shouldn't give someone a protection as opposed to their competitors, because that's the opposite of a free market. That's protected.
Well, certainly, I think that's one thing that I don't even know what to call myself anymore. I'm not socially necessarily conservative. I don't know how liberal I'd be called under normal circumstances, but I think one thing that is certainly misconstrued about this particular industry is that as liberal as it is about the medical marijuana product, there are a lot of business people in the medical marijuana community in Michigan who do not want to see, a closed market. We're very much free market oriented. We're very much competition and regulatory. And people in this industry want to be taxed. They want to be regulated. They want to be licensed. They want to be quality controlled. When I'm looking at the different bills coming out, I'm picturing a concept that looks a little bit like alcohol, the alcohol industry. Allow small, microbrews. Allow it to be taxed and licensed and inspected.
Those microbrews didn't come along for a long time after Prohibition.
Well, yeah, but why reinvent the wheel? We have it. We have the playbook in front of us. I would prefer that you didn't have to get everything through the state like you do with liquor licensing. But at least I think that we have some structure, some regulatory framework here already if we look toward the alcohol industry as far as how to regulate it and license it and inspect it and tax it.
Well, then you got the Jack Daniels of medical marijuana or pharmaceutical-grade cannabis up in the mines in the northern parts of our state growing big grows that way.
But what 5580 sets out to do is to empower local cities in order to accept those type of businesses within their community. 5681 removes that local option available, essentially.
That's correct.
By confining it to larger production systems. And in fact, 5681 includes a phrase that says people that apply to have good moral character, as defined as MCL 338.41. I don't know.
How gray is that?
I don't know of anyone else that has good moral character. That's 618105 sub 6, by the way, Rep. Carlton, for your records. A good moral character on the definition.
The only time I've heard that is when you're trying to license a child care center in Nevada.
Oh, no, there's another one where they have to have a good moral character is if you're doing the temporary endeavor permits, usually in townships and municipalities. If you're going to set up a little stand somewhere, they don't want transients coming through. They want to make sure you got a good background.
You can't be morally good if you're transient?
But we don't require that for people that deal alcohol. We don't require that for people that deal in the sex trade, like the topless bars. Why in the world would marijuana require that kind of an addition?
Yeah, it's like I said, I will not support this bill as it is right now.
Does that mean you're going to try and get off the bill? Is there a way that you can remove yourself as a co-sponsor?
Well, I checked into that. Not until it hits the floor.
Okay.
For a vote, you mean?
If it ever does.
Mm-hmm. Right. And you said that was predicated on the federal change in scheduling, not necessarily just a change in Michigan scheduling. Is that correct?
Yes, it has to be federal. And so this is about a scenario that may never happen, or at least may not happen. I think it will eventually happen.
Yeah.
But what they're doing is it's a proactive kind of a bill designed to take effect immediately upon the change from Schedule 1. And the way it's described to me is so there won't be all kinds of uncertainty when suddenly things are off Schedule 1. It won't be the wild, wild west.
But you're supposed to decide all of these things before you find out the details of the actual Rescheduling Act itself? That seems like a cart before the horse, Representative.
Yeah, well, it actually is a cart before the horse. But I guess, the way they look at this, and this is something they look at in other states is, there's a big market in Michigan. Someone told me, like in Canada, there's not as many people that use marijuana, medical marijuana, as in Michigan. And so it probably looks like a very nice market that they would love to come in on, and if they can actually legislate, A, market share, maybe B, a monopoly, then they're kind of setting it up so that if things change, it becomes, theirs, and that's a real concern.
I see this just slightly. We're getting ready to go to break. I see this in a slightly different way, and you can comment after we come back. I see this as setting this up because you can change the scheduling in Michigan right now. It doesn't depend on the federal government. You can operate that way, and I think if the federal government, especially if they make an agreement to leave them alone, I think they could set it up that way and then wait for the federal government to follow through with Michigan's lead. We'll be right back with more on the Medical Marijuana Radio Show. Don't go away.
Bend over or no? Yeah, you got it. Okay. Steve and Rick will be right back after this. The Medical Marijuana Radio Network.
The law offices of Targowski & Grow remind you to stand up for your rights. Always treat law enforcement with respect, but if you're detained or arrested, stand up for your rights by repeating, I respectfully invoke all of my legal and constitutional rights. I do not consent to any search or seizure. I want to remain silent, and I want to talk to my attorneys, John Targowski and Daniel Grow. Targowski & Grow have the education and experience you need to be successful in Michigan courts. Call Targowski & Grow toll-free, 800-957-1069. The law offices of Targowski & Grow, 800-957-1069. If you are a carded Michigan medical marijuana patient with a need for safe access but have reservations about privacy and discretion, there is an answer. It's the Ant Farm. The Ant Farm is Metro Detroit's trusted professional mobile transfer service. Write this toll-free number down, 888-369-3320. Lab-tested, mold and pesticide-free. It's the Ant Farm's convenience you'll try, but quality standards, privacy, and friendly professionals that will bring you back. The Ant Farm comes to you. Call for discreet details right away. 888-369-3320. Hey, Steve Green here to tell you about my good friends over at the Hydro Hut Garden Supply Store in Inkster. Why am I so excited about Hydro Hut? The $200 Mad Light deal. That's right. $200 gets you a 1,000-watt high-pressure sodium bulb, an E-wing reflector, and a digital ballast. That's right, a digital one. Call them today at 313-228-5544. It's Hydro Hut. It's 20% off on your first purchase, but you got to mention the Medical Marijuana Radio Show to get it. Check them out at hydrohutonline.com. That's Hydro Hut at hydrohutonline.com. Hey, Steve Green here for the Medical Marijuana Certifications at AMMP. They're the American Medical Marijuana Professionals. You'll find them just north of Utica Road on Gratiot in Roseville. Their address is 28349. Now, call-ins are welcome, but you're better off calling for an appointment. They have a toll-free number, 877-RX-420-99. That's 877-RX-420-99 for American Medical Marijuana Professionals. That's AMMP on Gratiot in Roseville.
If you or someone you know received a traffic ticket, has been charged with a misdemeanor, drinking and driving, criminal offense, or has had their driver's license taken away, they need an attorney. They need attorney Glenn McCandless. He's helped hundreds of people solve their legal problems over the past 16 years.
My law firm is dedicated to providing quality legal services at affordable rates.
Call us at 586-755-2900. Again, that's 586-755-2900. Call now.
Attention! Find out how to claim your free offer from Urban Genetics at the end of this message. Start growing right. Know your strain. Get the right seeds and clones at affordable prices from the leader in genetics in Michigan. And it's Urban Genetics. Urban Genetics carries it all. Sativas, indicas, hybrids, autoflower, even rare high CBD strains or hard-to-find strains. Call now and get your free seeds by mentioning this radio ad. Some restrictions apply. Urban Genetics, 248-266-0980. Call Urban Genetics now for this one-time limited free offer. 248-266-0980.
The Medical Marijuana Radio Show.
It's a beautiful Saturday in Detroit, Michigan. Steve Green, Denise Policello, Rick Thompson, and Ryan, our Specs Howard intern, in here on the Medical Marijuana Radio Show. You'll find us here every Saturday from noon until 1 o'clock. You can find us also on iHeartRadio and at RadioWeedshow.com. Incidentally, as we get ready to talk to Rick Thompson and some other phone guests, 810-423-2350, the number to call. While we're talking, you may have a chance to go to RadioWeedshow.com and register for the contest. We're going to play that in the next segment. Maybe win some Cedar Point tickets. If you want to buy Cedar Point tickets, they're available there as well. You can come with us on July 14th. Rep. Carlton, thanks for being on the show today. Just right up front, so I don't get the chance to miss this opportunity, if people want to talk to you about this, if they want to, have some interaction, engage you about this topic, or have some kind of input, is there a way they can get a hold of you?
Yeah, let me give my email, would be probably the best.
Sure.
Let me give you an email, Michael Carlton.
That's 2 L's?
MICHAEL CALLTON 181 at hotmail.com. My personal email.
That is your personal email. That's not even your house. That's not even your house address.
Very bold, sir.
Wow.
That's very cool. One more time. Michael
Hold
Carlton.
on, I'm going to write that one down. I was just going to go to your house.
Michael Carlton 181 at hotmail.com.
Yes.
That is one brave man.
2 L's.
Yes.
Mm-hmm.
Yes.
I do want to talk to people, or I do want to communicate with people about this.
Well, here's a great chance. We got Jamie Lowell on the phone. Maybe we can talk to Jamie. Jamie's a part of the Planet Green Trees show and is also a frequent caller on our show. Jamie, welcome to the program.
Hello, how you doing?
You had some things you wanted to ask Rep. Carlton.
Yeah. I've got a comment also, and that is what you brought up before going into the break. The rescheduling in Michigan is not a bad idea, and I do not believe it should be tied to 5580, which is a good bill right by itself right now, patient-friendly, has all the components that we like. But on its own, the people of Michigan have said that cannabis has medicinal value, so it's inappropriate to keep it as a controlled one on our list, which says that it has no medicinal value.
I believe, Jamie, that the courts will eventually determine that our vote was, in essence, rescheduling.
Okay,
I would hope that they would do that.
Well, it should be its own bill, and when submitting it to the Legislative Services Bureau, they should be able to prepare a cost analysis and determine how much money we would save or have to spend in order to make this happen. And I believe it'll demonstrate significant cost savings and look pretty attractive to a lot of people.
Rep. Carlton?
Jamie brings up an interesting point. On one hand, we have it in our law now that medical marijuana can be used for certain things, but yet our Schedule 1 implies that it has no benefit, and somehow that needs to be reconciled.
Well, I think if you look at the history of why and how marijuana ended up on Schedule 1, it was a really long time ago when it was sort of lumped in with several other drugs, particularly heroin, that were considered very dangerous. I think studies since then have very much shown that it doesn't belong on Schedule 1, and it's just a matter of our politics maybe and our priorities catching up with science.
Hey,
Can I talk about politics real quick?
Absolutely.
This is, because I've had difficulties even getting co-sponsors on this.
Mm-hmm.
I think although a lot of politicians, believe medical marijuana can help, they may be afraid to stick their neck out. I decided that, I don't approach this from a police aspect or a legal aspect. I approach it from a health policy aspect.
Thank you.
I'm a chiropractor. And I've decided that even though I come from a conservative district, that I am going to push this forward because I think it's good health policy.
I think you're right.
I'm willing to take the arrows.
Well, we very much appreciate that. I think that it's very difficult for politicians to get involved or behind anything with the word drug in it ever, and it takes quite a bit of courage for anyone to do that, particularly a Republican. We thank you very much for that.
Certainly, and I'd remind you that 63% is a vast majority of people that voted in 2008, and every poll since has shown that medical marijuana legalization is increasing in popularity throughout the state. Jamie, I know you had a specific question you wanted to ask the representative before we run out of time.
Yeah. In the event, I know you're already being a champion for us, and I need to ask you just for a little bit more. In the event that the 4 Walsh bills come back from the Senate to the House with amendments that would create more restrictions and prohibitions, can you let us know that you will not go for that and help us to get others to not go for that as well?
Well, I have to look at each one. I have learned now, because I've been burned so many times, never to say no for sure or yes for sure.
Right.
So I actually see
what
emerges.
If you can demonstrate in your mind and it's demonstrated to you, more restrictions, more prohibitions are being created. Would that make a significant difference?
Well, it depends on the prohibitions. Some of the prohibitions I agree with. As far as, like, the whole thing with the doctor over the Internet, I don't agree that a doctor over the Internet should be able to write a prescription. I'm a chiropractor. I examine people for pain. I don't see how I could examine someone for pain over the telephone. So I do agree with some of the tightening up, but I do believe we have to open up some stuff too.
Well
so
said.
It's not
well
black and white to me. I just have to look at each one
Let
and
me
see if it makes good health policy.
If it comes back saying that all felons cannot be caregivers, is that something that you would agree with?
No.
Thank you.
All felons?
Thank you.
I had some indication, some inside word that Senator Jones, who heads the Senate Judiciary Committee, has absolutely no intention of changing any content in these Senate bills. Or in these House bills. And that being the case, chances are these are a done deal. These are going to end up getting voted in.
If that's the case.
We don't believe Senator Jones.
Politically, if the Senate approves it with no changes, it would have to go back to the House and it would go right to the governor's office.
Right.
It would never go back to the House.
Actually, I think the ones that require 3/4 majority would go right past the governor because he doesn't need to sign them. They've already taken effect.
Well, I'm not sure of that detail.
Yeah.
There's some debate on that because it only requires 2/3 to not need the governor's vote. Since it already has 3/4, the question is, does it really need it then?
I think you would symbolically sign it just to make a point anyway.
Right.
Yep, and they do that all the time.
Is there anything that you would want to add to either of these bills having gotten this far along? Are these set where you like them?
Say that last time.
I'm saying, are there any changes that you would like to see to these bills before they get voted on or before they get processed through?
The 4 Walsh bills.
Well, on the dispensaries provisionary center bill, someone suggested perhaps a grandfathering in of existing. There's only like under 60, I think, existing dispensaries.
Yeah, and half of them are my clients, so I would really appreciate that.
Okay, that is something that was suggested to me from Kevin Spittler over at the Med Joint in Kalamazoo.
Kevin's a great guy.
Yeah, and I've met him, and he's been emailing, and I really, value that interaction. And that is a good concept. If you are, from what I understand, at one time there were like over 400 dispensaries. Now there's under 60 because of what's been happening. And if the dispensary is still open, they obviously have something going for them. They obviously have a prosecutor or sheriff that is not, arrested them yet or anything like that. Or I don't know. Some of them tell me they are being harassed. I've talked to several people who have been arrested, and one in my county that spent the few days in jail.
I think it's difficult.
Unfortunate.
Yeah, I think it's difficult right now particularly for dispensary owners. It's going to depend, first of all, on what county you're in and how aggressive your prosecutor is. It's also going to depend on how you're operating. Some dispensary owners are very conservative, are not greedy, are very patient-oriented, clean, safe, la-da-da. And then there are still some places out there that are very loosely run. And when I say loosely run, I mean they're really not trying to take any paperwork into consideration or anything like that. And
just
I think
like every industry.
I think and because there's a complete vacuum of regulation on the topic, and there's no way to inspect these things or regulate them yet, that it's a hit or miss right now. So
but that's really not true. There are local city ordinances. Third Coast is an example where they are regulated and controlled. So that's really not accurate. There are very, very, very few counties where dispensaries are actually regulated. I mean, Ann Arbor, Ypsilanti, maybe 2 or 3 others in the state have municipalities with ordinances that actually regulate the dispensaries as opposed to just
having a moratorium or not, or having an ordinance that says you may have a dispensary and you have to stay in accordance with the law.
Getting ready to go to break. Just as a side note, the history of dispensaries from 15 years ago in California, the model has always been self-regulation, and then take that to the state, take that to your local officials, and get it codified into law. Back with more on the Medical Marijuana Radio Show. Don't go anywhere. Jamie, stand by, please.
More of your calls next. 818-423-2350. We'll be right back after this on the Medical Marijuana Radio Show. The Medical Marijuana Radio Network.
Well, this formula is specifically to grow cannabis.
That's Ray Kogo for Kogo's Original Cannabis Formula Nutrients.
Now, everybody knows that large buds and tight buds come from genetics, and then the amount of light you use. The other part is having the correct nutrients that the plant's going to use. Mine specifically to grow cannabis, so it's going to get everything that it needs.
Ray knows what you may not. Those nutrient companies you can get in most grow shops are not cannabis specific. That means they take the stuff out of the bloom that your plant needs in bloom. You can get Kogo's Original Cannabis Formula Nutrients too. It's just 2 1-gallon jugs that make over 600 gallons of nutrients, all for less than $100. See the difference for yourself.
More trichomes, bigger buds, faster growth, and for less money.
Go to CANNABISformula.com or call Ray direct at 517-375-8998. That's 517-375-8998. Kogo's Original Cannabis Formula Nutrients. Hey, Steve Green here to tell you about my good friends over at the Hydro Hut Garden Supply Store in Inkster. Why am I so excited about Hydro Hut? The $200 Mad Light deal. That's right, $200 trying to get a stupid number to call. What's the name? 5544. It's Hydro Hut. It's 20% off on your first purchase, but you got to mention the Medical Marijuana Radio Show to get it. Check them out at hydrohutonline.com. That's Hydro Hut at hydrohutonline.com. If you are a carded Michigan medical marijuana patient with a need for safe access but have reservations about privacy and discretion, there is an answer. It's the Ant Farm. The Ant Farm is Metro Detroit's trusted professional mobile transfer service. Write this toll-free number down. 888-369-3320. Lab-tested, mold and pesticide-free. It's the Ant Farm's convenience you'll try, but quality standards, privacy, and friendly professionals that will bring you back. The Ant Farm comes to you. Call for discreet details right away. 888-369-3320. Medical Marijuana Certification. And now you can find out everything you need to know online at getpotid.com. Or write down this toll-free number, 855-DOC-CERT. A friendly specialist will direct you to our Farmington Hills office. Medical Marijuana Certification. GetPotID.com. It's the key to getting your card. Information, resources, and in the end, if you're qualified, a medical card. Call toll-free right now, 855-DOC-CERT. That's 855-DOC-CERT. It's GetPotID.com. The law offices of Targowski and Grow remind you to stand up for your rights. Always treat law enforcement with respect, but if you're detained or arrested, stand up for your rights by repeating, I respectfully invoke all of my legal and constitutional rights. I do not consent to any search or seizure. I want to remain silent, and I want to talk to my attorneys, John Targowski and Daniel Grow. Targowski and Grow have the education and experience you need to be successful in Michigan courts. Call Targowski and Grow toll-free, 800-957-1069. The law offices of Targowski and Grow, 800-957-1069. The Committee for a Safer Michigan is collecting signatures to put repeal of marijuana prohibition for adults on the November ballot, and we need your help. Outlawing marijuana has not reduced its availability, made society safe, nor reduced access for minors. Marijuana prohibition has wasted limited tax dollars, put otherwise law-abiding citizens in handcuffs, eroded the public's relationship with law enforcement, and denied relief to seriously ill, injured, and dying citizens that were supposed to be protected by the Michigan Medical Marijuana Act. The Committee for a Safer Michigan is working to legalize marijuana for adults, and we need your help to put it on the ballot. Go to repealtoday.org to find out more about this historic effort. That's repealtoday.org to learn more, or call 269-548-8422 to end prohibition and sign the petition. Ending marijuana prohibition will reduce access by minors, allow law enforcement to focus on violent crime, reduce gang activity and organized crime, and create jobs by allowing a new Michigan hemp industry. Paid for with regulated funds by the Committee for a Safer Michigan, 2930 East Jefferson Avenue, Detroit, Michigan, 48207.
It's the Medical Marijuana Radio Show. You're insecure.
So this is these One Direction guys. They were to hear at the radio station one day when I came. Play the tape, Buzz. These girls were crazy out here.
Okay, everybody.
now.
Oh, my God, you can't turn anywhere without One Direction behind you. What's up with that? Here at the radio station, I don't know why you're even promoting them on the Medical Marijuana radio show.
Make it stop.
Those crazy girls were outside. They haunt me at night. I can't get rid of them. In any event, 6 minutes left on the radio show. We better move right along. Rep. Carlton, Jamie, thanks for hanging on through the break. We came up on the break. I didn't want to let you go without having some last words. Any last words, Jamie, real quick before we go?
Yeah, I just want to mention that, Rep. Holmes said that at one point there was 400 plus dispensaries around the state, and that's true. And you talked about K2 at the beginning of the show. No matter how shady or whatever those places were running as, it never got the kind of response that K2 has gotten from people in their communities, from some organizations and law enforcement as a way to band together and protest outside of stores and all types of things like that. We never got that from any of our places at any point. That's a good indication of what people really think about cannabis, in my opinion.
Thank you for calling the show, Jamie. We'll talk to you soon. Rep. Carlton, last words.
That's an interesting comment he makes. It's because marijuana is not dangerous, and the public realizes that K2 is dangerous, and that's something we're working on outlawing.
Well, sir, we thank you for taking on and spearheading this cause. We really appreciate your backing of 5580 and the people of Michigan in their need to alleviate pain, discomfort, and illness associated with their maladies.
Well, it was great to be here. Thanks for having me.
My pleasure, sir. We'll have you on again soon if we get a chance. Mike Carlton, 181 at hotmail.com, correct?
Michael Carlton, 181, right.
Thank you so much, Michael. We'll see you soon, Rep. Carlton.
Okay, bye-bye.
All right, bye-bye. 5 minutes left in the show. That means we got to run on to news. Ryan, are you ready to do some news?
I'm ready. Let's knock it out here.
Here we go.
All right, let's see here. Medical marijuana crackdown continues in California. The U.S. Attorney's Office in Los Angeles filed a property forfeiture lawsuit in a bid to shut down 3 dispensaries and sending out warning letters to 34 people. In New Hampshire, they're looking primed to be the 18th state to legalize medical marijuana. Bill 409 has the support of the Senate and the House. However, the votes aren't there yet. 17 states down, 33 to go. High school students have smartened up by putting down Joe Camel and trying Mary Jane, according to the government. The report by the Center for Disease Control and Prevention revealed that 23% of high school students had recently smoked cannabis, while 18% filled their lungs with tobacco.
Wow, what a statement that says, huh?
Marijuana is not dangerous. You just heard Rep.
Joe Camel.
There you go.
Good Lord, are they going to have Mickey marijuana? What are they going to have?
Oh, God, I hope not.
You're right, Joe.
Mary Jane. We have Mary Jane.
We got 3 minutes if you want to go try and win tickets to Cedar Point. Call us now, 248-848-1310. First caller, 248-848-1310, gets the opportunity to play Toker Trivia. Toker Trivia, if you answer a question about yesterday's show in 20 seconds or less, we'll give you tickets to Cedar Point. We're going on July 14th. It's just about a month away. So we may get a contestant here, we may not.
A couple other calendar of events things. On Tuesday this week, the Senate Judiciary Committee will be considering that package of 4 bills at 2:30 in the Senate Judiciary Chambers. That's this Tuesday, coming right up. In addition to that, in the first week of August, there'll be a camp out for the entire medical marijuana community at Lucky Lake in Montague, Michigan, which is right next to Rothbury, where they do the Double J Ranch Festival. That's the first week of August. A couple of very exciting things happening. Cedar Point, camping, lots of ways for the community to have unity and come together this summer.
Wow. Okay, so we got a contestant on the phone. It's Jim from Lincoln Park. Welcome to the show, Jim. Hello.
How are you?
We are terrific. How about yourself? We got seconds left, so we got to hurry up and play the contest. Are you ready to go?
I guess.
Okay, here we go. Here is the contest theme. And so the name of the contest is Toker Trivia. We're going to ask you a question about last week's show. Now, on last week's show, Denise was not here. Denise wasn't here. No, you weren't. You were on the radio, but you weren't here in the studio.
Oh, yeah, that's right.
And so we want to know if you can answer the question, why was Denise not here, and where did she, we'll also accept, where did she call from?
There's so many possibilities.
Whoa, come on. Go ahead.
I'm going to guess she had a hangover.
Oh, no! No, she wasn't a hangover.
Ouch.
It didn't work out. No, the answer was she had a flat tire, and the other acceptable answer was she was calling from Belltown.
I remember now. That was my second flat tire in 5 days. I felt like I was driving around cursed last week.
If somebody wants to try, we still got a couple of seconds. We'll take one more call. 248-848-1310. We're trying to give away tickets to Cedar Point. We got 50 seconds. Oh, God, I don't think it's going to happen.
No zombie apocalypse, according to the CDC.
So if you want to get in on Cedar Point, you don't have to necessarily win the tickets. You can go and buy them. You can come with us on July 14th. We're doing a live broadcast from Cedar Point. It's going to be badass. We're going to have so much fun. Go to the front page of RadioWeedShow.com. There's a button right there. You can buy 1, 2, 3, or 4 tickets. It's a huge discount, $16 off per ticket. It's $35. You got to pay your own way to get down there and your own parking. But as far as admission to the park, $35 is the best deal you'll get anywhere.
You can use your extra money for the Fast Pass.
Not on Mike.
You can use your extra money for the Fast Pass.
Oh, the Fast Pass. Don't forget about the Fast Pass. This year they're offering cuts in line for $55. If you go and buy the $55 ticket, Ryan said he had a blast. He got the ticket and hit 18 rides in like a couple hours.
Don't forget
Gotta
about
go. Join us on RadioWeedShow.com.
The Medical Marijuana Radio Show and RadioWeedShow.com are trademarks. Copyright 2011.
The comments, ideas, and opinions expressed in the preceding program